parasha, Parashat Va'eira, it says, Vaeirá elav Adonai be'elonei mamre, v'hu yoshev petach ha'oel kechom hayom. Hashem appeared to him, to Avraham Avinu, in the plains of Mamre, while he was sitting at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day. Chapter 18 of the book of Bereshit. Avraham Avinu from last week's Parashat Lech Lecha had a Brit Milah at the end of the Parashah, and here this is the third day that he is recovering from this, and instead of sitting in bed, sleeping, no, he's waiting and looking for guests. So the first time we learn about the concept of rebuke is we learn from Hashem himself. When the angels come to Avraham Avinu and they tell him, Ayeh Sarah ishtecha v'yomer ine ba'oel. In verse 9, chapter 18, verse 9, they said to him, where is Sarah, your wife? And he said, here, behold, in the tent. What are they asking about his wife? What are they asking about his wife for? And the sages say this is to highlight Sarah's modesty. Because a righteous woman is not going to hang out with the guys. She's not hanging out with the guys. Hey, yeah, have a beer. Hey, how are you? What'd you do this weekend? What do you think of the game? She became one of the guys. A righteous woman is not hanging out with one of the guys. Sarah Imenu did not hang out with one of the guys. She was the wife. She's not there to have a beer, a cold one, with these few guests, which at this point they think are Arabs. So they're saying, where's your wife? So this is, Hashem is highlighting her modesty, despite the fact that she was the most beautiful woman that ever lived. To such an extent that Chazal say that anyone else that you could ever put next to her looks more like a monkey than to her. That's how beautiful she was. So now the first thing is, he's asking, where's your wife? And then after that, after he confirms that she's there, because they want to make sure that she hears what they're about to say. They're saying to him, you're going to have a son. And in verse 12 it says, Sarah laughed at herself, saying, after I've withered, shall I again have a delicate skin? And my husband is old. She says, listen, I'm old now, and my husband's old. So Hashem says to Avraham, why is it that Sarah laughed, saying, shall I in truth bear a child though I have aged? So Hashem changes the truth here, where he says in essence that Sarah said, how could I have a kid if I'm so old? She didn't say I'm so old, she said my husband's old. But Hashem, for the sake of Shlom Bayit, knew that if he tells Avraham, listen, your wife thinks you're old, could create Shlom Bayit problems. So Hashem didn't say that, he said she thinks she's old. But nonetheless, Hashem brought the truth here. He told him, hey, is anything beyond me? Why are you saying that I can't make you, aren't I the one that decides whether you're pregnant or not pregnant? Doesn't matter that you're 99 years old. Doesn't matter that you're 80 years old, 90 years old, 1,000 years. Doesn't make a difference. And this is sometimes what people need to understand when it comes to whether someone's pregnant or not pregnant. It's all in the hands of Hashem. I give you an example, a real life story. People like miracles. I know a woman, very righteous. This is, I don't have permission from her to say it. I'm not going to say her name, but it's a true story. She converted to Judaism, leaving everything behind. Leaving Christianity, leaving everything. Family, everything. Now, one of the things that she knew now is that now I'm gonna try to bring kids to the world. The only problem is that I'm almost 40 years old. Now, as we all know, biologically, women have their clocks tick. You know, it's not you can't have kids forever. We're not Sarah Imenu. So their biological clock is ticking, and according to the doctors, you're really not supposed to be able to have kids at that age. And even if you're able to have kids, it's not like it works right away. It takes time. So, and she says, listen, in reality, until now I didn't want kids. She didn't even want kids. Now I know it's going to be good for my husband to bring kids, because it's a mitzvah for the man. It's not it's an obligation for the man, not for the woman, to bring kids to the world. The woman is helping the man, but she's not obligated to have kids. The man is obligated to have kids. But nonetheless, she says, listen, I don't know if I could have a kid, and everyone says I'm too old, and it took me a while to convert, and it took me a while to realize, and it took me this, and it took me that. And I told her, listen, whether you are righteous or wicked is your choice. We obviously know what your choice is, because you're converting, righteous person, you're doing good things, and you're also involved in kiruv. You're involved in helping other Jews do tshuva. Even before you yourself turn into a Jew, you're already involved in helping other Jews do tshuva. So aside from having a special love from Hashem, where Hashem says 36 times in the Torah that you have special protection as a convert, you have special protection from Hashem. He's considering you as both, He's your father and He's your mother. A convert has special protection in Shamayim. On top of that, you're helping his other children come back to him. And on top of that, the day you convert, you're officially zero. You're officially 0 years old. You're born. You're a brand new soul. So, Hashem decides if you're pregnant or not. And she's okay. She continued believing. No doctors, no special labs, no breaking heads, no nothing. Baruch Hashem, within a couple of years, she had 2 kids already. Against all odds, against everybody else's logic, it didn't make sense, but Baruch Hashem, Hashem runs the show. Hashem runs the show. Unfortunately, this is a unique case, because this is a woman that actually had a lot of emunah. She believed that everything I was telling her, I provided the sources and everything else, everything about it's 100% from God. So she said, okay, listen, if Torah says that the minute I convert, I'm a brand new soul, then the fact that I'm 40 years old is not relevant anymore. I'm not 40 years old, I'm 0 years old. I'm a baby. And the fact that doing kiruv gives me special attention from Hashem, then that's what I'm going to go with. And the fact that I'm a convert makes Hashem take special attention to me. I'm going to take that to the bank too. I have three aces. So I'm going to believe 100% in this. No tests, no special medicine, no special nothing. She just traditionally did everything, Baruch Hashem. No problems, no nothing. Everything 100% perfect. But on the other hand, I have some people, they don't have the same level of emunah. And right away, without even trying naturally, without even needing to do anything else, right away they go to doctors, they spend tens of thousands of dollars on all types of painful experiments, and still 3, 4, 5 years later, still no kids, Hashem Yachim. Hashem is putting you sometimes in positions where He wants you to develop your emunah, which we'll talk about next. So now the first thing is that Hashem is rebuking Sarah Imenu, saying, why did you say that your husband's old? Why did you say that, that you're old and you can't bring kids? And Sarah denied it. She denied it, I didn't laugh, and she became very scared. So from here, we learn actually that Hashem knows your feelings. Hashem knows your thoughts. Because she didn't say anything out loud. What is written here, it says, Sarah laughed at herself, meaning within herself, in her own mind. She didn't say it to the malachim. She didn't say it to the angels or anything like that. And also, as a matter of fact, some chidush that I read, as a matter of fact, today, the Rambam says that this whole event with the angels was not in real life. Meaning, the whole meeting between Avraham Avinu and these three angels and Sarah was prophecy. The three people didn't actually show up at his house. It was all prophecy. It was like a vision of some kind. But anyway, this is the first time we learn about rebuke. The second time, it's very interesting, is from Avimelech. We find out later on, after you pass a little bit, let's see, in chapter 20, verse 11, after it's clarified that, when Avimelech takes Sarah because he thinks that she is Avraham's sister, and Hashem comes to him, and according to the Rambam, it's not that Avimelech had a prophecy, because he wasn't righteous enough to have prophecy. But it says that Hashem spoke to him. So how did Hashem spoke to him? He says that any time it mentions in the Torah that one of these wicked people, Hashem spoke to them, it means that it's Hashem actually, they had a dream. They had a dream which from there they understood very clearly that Hashem has given them a certain message. But it wasn't prophecy like Avraham Avinu had, or Moses had, or any of the Jewish prophets. Because in order to have prophecy, according to the Gemara, Masechet Avodah Zarah, you have to be very, very pure person. Very, very pure person. This is the reason why even Bilam the Rasha, the wicked Bilam, there's a machloket of whether he was really a prophet or just a sorcerer. And the Gemara in Sanhedrin says that no, he wasn't a prophet, he was a sorcerer. But then one of the other sages says, no, he was a prophet for a temporary amount of time. He was a prophet for a temporary amount of time. He was not always a prophet. Before he went against Am Yisrael, he was a prophet. But after he went against Am Yisrael, he became just a wizard. He went like a sorcerer. So then the Gemara asks, I believe it's in Gemara Megillah, how is it possible that Bilam, that his wife was a donkey? His wife was a donkey. Not stupid, the donkey, like really a donkey. How could somebody so tameh, so impure, get prophecy? How is it possible? He says, no, he got prophecy through the eye he didn't have. He had, instead of an eye, you have two eyes, but he only had one eye. And one side he had a hole. And it's the only part of his body that didn't sin, because there was nothing there. So Hashem would deliver the prophecy in this empty hole, this empty eye that he had. That's how he got his prophecy, according to the sages. So nonetheless, here, Avimelech, after they confirm and find out that Sarai Imenu is Avraham's wife, Avimelech says, okay, so this is a person of God. He saved us because Hashem didn't allow Avimelech to even touch Sarah, the holy prophet. And he made sure that he's not able to do it. So what did he do? According to Chazal, and even here, it says that he shut off all of their holes. All of the holes in their body. Their ears, their nose, their genitals, their everything. The women were not able to give birth, not able to go to the bathroom. Disaster. So it was a very clear message, something's wrong with this picture. And Hashem specifically told them, the person that you're going against, Avraham Avinu, he's a prophet. He can pray for you. He can pray for you. And Avraham prayed for him, and Hashem healed him. So now Avimelech wants to go into business with this Avraham Avinu. This is man of God. It's a man of God, but his people that work for him are not 100% honest. They're trying to skim a little bit off the top. Like some people think when they work for a rich boss, it's okay if you steal a little bit from him. He won't mind. Look, he has this big restaurant. He has a big restaurant. He makes $25,000, $30,000 a day. What is the big deal if I take $100 a day extra? He's not going to feel it. It's tips. Okay, so instead of $100 tips, I got $200 tips. The $100 is not going to make a big deal out of him, Rabbi. Right? He makes $30,000 a day. Rasha. Wicked. Can't get into Gan Eden. Must come back in the Gilgul and repay back your boss for the $100 you took, for the $10 you took, for the $1 you took. Unless he knows that you took it, not allowed to. Even food, if you work for a restaurant, food, unless it's known and accepted in your restaurant that you are going to, the workers are going to eat the food from the restaurant, you can't just decide to eat a cookie because you work there. It's gezer. Doesn't matter that it's normal for the outsiders. Unless the boss says, listen, part of the deal is you're going to get a salary, maybe you're going to get some tips from people, and you're going to get food. Whatever you want to eat, eat. Unless you have that deal, you can't just feel at home. It's not your house. It's 100% theft. And the fact that he's rich is irrelevant. It has nothing to do with you. You didn't give him the money. Just because somebody's rich doesn't mean you could steal from him. Right. This whole theory that people have, this illusion that people have where they've idolized Robin Hood. This guy, this mythical creature that pretty much stole from the rich and gave to the poor, and they make him look like he's a tzaddik. The guy's a rasha merusha. You can't steal from people just because they're rich. So, here, the workers of Avimelech are figuring, listen, Avraham is making a lot of money. So we take a little bit. We take a little bit off the top. What's the big deal? We let our sheep eat from his area, like Lot did. Lot, his nephew. We steal a little bit, we skim off the top a little bit. So Avraham rebukes him. He comes to him. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not the section. And he tells him, why did you put me in this situation? What's the problem here? This is, I missed it, this is the wrong one. So yeah, it's the end of the Parashá. It's not the place that I noted here. Yeah. Okay, Baruch Hashem. So chapter 21, verse 25. והוכיח אברהם את אבימלך על אודות באר המים אשר גזלו עבדי אבימלך. ויאמר אבימלך לא ידעתי מי עשה את הדבר הזה וגם אתה לא הגלת לי וגם אנוכי לא שמעתי בלתי היום. So then Avraham, it says, Avraham disputed with Avimelech regarding the well of water that Avimelech's servants have seized. They took one of the wells that really was his. But Avimelech says, I didn't know who did this thing. Furthermore, you never told me. And moreover, I myself have never heard nothing of it except today. So you're telling me that all this time my employees have been stealing from you. Why didn't you tell me already before? Why'd you wait all this time? I didn't know about it. What do you think, I check every one of my wells to see, do I own this, do I own this, do I own this? He's claiming innocent. He goes, you can't come to me with complaints now. I didn't know anything about it. And as a result, Avraham and Avimelech make a deal. And Avraham gives him 7 ewes. And Avimelech says, what are you giving me these ewes for? He says, that's going to be the sign of our deal. If I say to you, listen, this is my well, a year, 2 years, 3 years is going to pass, maybe you're going to forget. Or what if you die and your son takes over and you're going to say, listen, I don't see any contract. But now that I paid you, that's the contract. Everybody knows I gave you something for this well. So you see here, we learned something critical here. We learn that the fact that Avraham, it specifically says that Avraham rebuked Avimelech. Avimelech was a king. But he rebuked him, he told him the truth. But since Avimelech was willing to listen to the truth because he was more interested in partnering with Avraham, the man of God, than he was having all this kavod, because he saw that every time he's partnering with Avraham, he's profiting, he's making money off of it. So he's willing to accept the truth. He sees the benefit of listening to Avraham. So you see that in this particular case, rebuke led to uncovering reality, which made Avimelech uncomfortable, but eventually led to peace. And even before that, the verse that I mentioned before in chapter 20, verse 10, when Avimelech came to Avraham Avinu, and he says to him, why did you put me in such a bad situation where you told me that your wife is really your sister? And look, our eyes were shut, our ears were shut, our genitals were shut. Hashem came to me in a dream, tell me that I'm going to die if I touch her. What did I do to you that you're putting me in this situation? And then Avraham Avinu tells us the secret to all of this. The secret to making sure that you're always going to be a judge and not an attorney, not a lawyer, for others and for yourself. Making sure that you're always going to look at things based on facts and not based on your heart. And make sure that you're able to move on, that after people pay their dues, you're able to move on forward. And the secret is, ויאמר אבימלך אל אברהם, מה ראית כי עשית את הדבר הזה? ויאמר אברהם, כי אמרתי רק אין יראת האלוהים במקום הזה, והרגוני על דבר אשתי. And Avimelech says to Abraham, what did you see that you did such a thing? Like, what did you put me in such a bad situation? So Abraham says, because I said, this place has no fear in God, and they will slay me because of my wife. So what does one thing have to do with the other? What do you mean? There's no fear of God in this place, and therefore they're going to kill me for my wife? What does one thing have to do with the other? So here Avraham is teaching us something. He's saying, if someone fears God, they're going to listen to him. If someone fears that Hashem is watching everything we do, listening to everything we say, writing every action that we've made, good and bad, and eventually he's going to show us this book at the day of judgment, and we're going to have to pay the bill for it, we're going to think twice before we make any action. Before we create some idol worship, before we turn into false religions, before, like the book of Isaiah says, that we got to such a bad level that they started worshipping bats. Bats and I think it was raccoons. Bats and raccoons. Like, why is he mentioning this? Why doesn't he mention this? They worship some statue. They worship some, I don't know, they worship some Buddha. They worship some rabbi. Why is he mentioning bats? He says, because you know that a bat is a really ugly animal. It's not like nobody likes bats. Only in the movies they like bats. But in reality, nobody likes bats. Nobody has a pet bat. It's a diseased animal. It's not a pretty animal. It's gross. He says that they made the ugliest thing, the ugliest creature into their God. Obviously it doesn't make any sense. How do you get to such a point? How does Am Yisrael get to such a point? How do people that are part of the chosen nation get to such a point where you've turned something so ugly into a God? When you have the most amazing God there is the only God there is. When you don't go with Da'at Torah, when you don't go with the teachings of the sages, when you don't build your emunah and your overall system, your overall mindset on a foundation full of Yirat Shamayim, a foundation that's based on fear of the Almighty, awe of the Almighty, you're not far away from the idol worshiper that made the bat into a God. You're not far away from becoming a murderer, according to Avraham Avinu. He says, listen, I came to this place, and as soon as I came to the place, instead of them asking me, you're in a desert, do you want a drink? Do you need some food? Do you like some rest? What do? They ask me, hey, who's the hottie with you? Who's this pretty woman? So I say, instead of them asking me if I need food, I'm in a desert. I'm not at a vacation resort. Middle of the desert. People are dying in the desert. They go in, they never leave. Instead of them asking, you want some water, you want some food, you want some anything, they ask me, who's this woman? Yeah, you care about the woman that's with me? Shows you have no Yirat Shamayim. All you care about is women. All you care about is desires. And people that only care about desires, they only care about this world. Which means they don't believe in the next world. Which means they don't believe in a creator to the world. Which means that they think that no one's watching. They can do whatever they want. And someone who thinks that they can do whatever they want and no one's watching, no one's writing, no one's listening, anything that they're doing, they're one step away from being a murderer. And they'll kill me for my wife. That's why I said she's my sister. Because I knew that if I said she's my wife, they'll kill me. I said, listen, if she's his wife, if she's his sister, then we could just take her. Give him some kavod, give him some money, make him feel good, he'll give us no problem. But if she's his wife, we can't take her. So what do we have to do? We have to kill him, then we can take her. Why? Because they have no Yirat Shamayim. So Avraham Avinu is teaching us here, listen, without Yirat Shamayim, the foundation of Judaism, you have nothing. And then Hashem says, okay, it's good, Avraham Avinu, that you've rebuked others and telling them, listen, they have to have Yirat Shamayim. But I want to see what you have. Because if you're going to rebuke people, and if you're going to try to get people to the truth, you have to live the truth. You can't be a hypocrite. According to the Gemara, someone who says the opposite of what he does himself, it's better that he would choke inside his mother's womb. That's how bad they treat it. They say, someone, you can't be a hypocrite. You say you have to keep Shabbat to other people, keep Shabbat. Say you have to eat kosher, you have to eat kosher. You tell other women, listen, be modest, you have to be modest. You can't walk around with a tank top telling other women you should be modest. Oh, listen, you should cover your hair, but you don't cover your hair. Oh, listen, you should be loyal to your husband, but you have 8 boyfriends. Doesn't work. People are going to think you're making a joke of the whole thing. Which you are. So here, Hashem is telling us, listen, I want to make sure that it's not just Avraham. And if it wasn't written, I wouldn't be able to say it. It's not just Avraham saying it. Why did Avraham Avinu become Avraham Avinu? Because he didn't just say, he did. First, he told Abimelech, listen, there's no Yirat Shamayim here. That's why I lied. But then Hashem gives him a test. Hashem gives him a serious test, and he says, bring your son, your only son, the one you love, Yitzchak, as an offering to me. So Avraham Avinu wakes up extra early in the morning and goes to the mountain of God to put his son as a korban for Hashem. Against all logic. This doesn't make any sense. This is against everything Hashem has told him until this point. Hashem told him that your descendants are going to be very fruitful and they're going to be everything. How are you going to kill them then? You're ending it right now. They're going to come from Yitzchak. How are they going to come from Yitzchak? I'm going to kill them right now. Tell all these idol worshippers to stop killing their kids, but you're making me kill my kid. Nothing makes any sense. Avraham Avinu, quiet. He goes, he does it. Of course, as we know the famous story, the angel of God stops him. Vayomer Avraham, Avraham. Vayomer Hineni. ויאמר אל תשלח ידיך אל הנער ואל תעש לו מהומה כי אתה ידעתי כי ירא אלוהים אתה ולא חסכת את בניך את יחידיך ממני. And he said, and an angel of Hashem called to him from heaven and said, Avraham, Avraham. And he said, here I am. He's got the knife about to chop his head pretty much. And Yitzchak the tzaddik, what is he doing? He's not scared like this, trying to look away. What is he doing? He's like, he's sticking his neck out. No, Abba, make sure you do it. And tie me really tight so I don't let the Yetzirah beat me and I hit you. The angel of God calls Avraham and he says, do not stretch out your hand against the lad, nor do anything to him. For now I know that you are a God-fearing man, since you have not withheld your son, your only one, from me. So here, Avraham Avinu becomes Avraham Avinu, for now and forever. Why? Because he didn't only say to Avimelech, hey, you should have Yirat Shamayim. He didn't just say to Avimelech, hey, you should judge favorably. He didn't just say to Avimelech, hey, you should be a judge and not a lawyer. He didn't just say, he practiced. Because Hashem is telling him right now, you've reached the highest level of Yirat Shamayim that there is. Now I know you're a God-fearing man. Before you were doing business and you told other people, listen, you should worship God. You converted other people. As in the Gemara, Masechet Chagigah, in several other places, it says that Avraham Avinu was, anytime they mentioned Gerim, all the converts have to say Bnei Avraham. Everyone is the sons of Avraham. Why? Because Avraham Avinu is considered the father of all converts. Because that's what he did his whole life. He converted everyone. So when he was telling people, listen, you should worship God, and it was convenient maybe, or you should have Yirat Shamayim because then you'll be an honest person. Oh, here he says, listen, I'm putting everything on the line. Yes, he sacrificed even his own life when he jumped into the fire. He jumped into the fire 3 years old when the whole issue with Nimrod, the Rasha. He jumped into the fire, but that's still his body. It's easier to sacrifice yourself than it is to sacrifice the thing that you love most. Most parents would die for their kids. It's easier to sacrifice themselves. So here Hashem has given him the ultimate test. His son. The one he waited for 100 years. The one that's his pride and joy. The one that's the confirmation of everything. He says, now after you were willing, able, and happy to sacrifice your everything for me, now I know you have Yirat Shamayim. Now I know you have fear of God. Now I know you're not just saying it. Now I know that when you judge, you're going to judge favorably when it's necessary, and you're going to judge everyone as a wicked person when it's necessary. And when everything is done, you're going to look at everyone as innocent. Just like the Mishnah says. And I think that if we could apply even 10% of what we learn to our day-to-day life, we'll already see a huge milestone and difference in our business success, in our Shlom Bayit success, and ultimately in our Yirat Shamayim and connection to Hashem, because we're building it on a real foundation, a foundation that's signed off by God. This is not my opinion. This is not some rabbi's opinion. This is what God wrote in this Torah. He says, you want to connect to me? Your foundation has to be based on Yirat Shamayim. You cannot get to Emunah without Yirat Shamayim. You cannot get to Ahava, love of Hashem, without Yirat Shamayim. You cannot get to connection to Hashem at all without Yirat Shamayim. It's not available. It's not possible. Because in order to love something, you have to know what it is. And as soon as you know even an inkling of what Hashem is, and how much you depend on Him, and how much you owe Him, and how much you must serve Him and do everything that He wants you to do, which is for your own benefit anyway, immediately you get scared. Because everything's on the line every minute. Everything's on the line every minute. Every single minute somebody can either earn their olam haba or lose it. One word can make somebody earn their olam haba or lose it. You could say to somebody, listen, you should come to the Shiur Torah. The guy comes to the Shiur Torah, he listens to Shiur Torah, gets a shock of his life. Starts keeping Shabbat, starts keeping kosher, starts laying tefillin, leaves the non-Jewish girlfriend or boyfriend, does tshuva, builds a Jewish home, becomes a nice kosher Jew. You just earned yourself a olam haba, my friend. On the other hand, your friend wants to go to Shiur, tell him, nah, let's go to the bar instead, hang out with some girls. That Shiur was going to be the one that was going to help him do tshuva. And now because of you, he missed it. And because of you, he's going to get punished for it. And that was his last shot. Because as soon as he got to that party, he met the wrong person, and the wrong person wasted the next 15 to 25 years of his life. You, my friend, are in serious, serious trouble when you get to Shamayim. One word. What is this? Not talking about, listen, you have to build a whole organization against God or chas v'shalom. One word. Come to the Shiur Torah, go against the Shiur Torah. Go to the bar instead. One word. What's nothing. If you have a solid foundation where you realize that Yirat Shamayim is a necessary tool, a necessary feeling, it's as necessary as breathing, then you already have a good foundation. But if your foundation is built on illusions, if your foundation is built on some teachings that has no backings whatsoever, we're all supposed to sing kumbaya and everything is great even though we're living in surrounded by poison, then my friend, as soon as reality checks, you're going to fall. And that's the one thing that you see a lot, where there's many times people that tell you, listen, I'm happy with my life, I got money, I got this, I got that. Well, I don't have God, but I have everything else. And they seem happy. They seem happy. You see them smiling, you see them on TV, you see them driving fast cars. They seem happy. And they may very well be happy superficially. Until reality. Until there's a reality check. Until there's death in a family, chas v'shalom. Until they lose money. Until their spouse leaves. Until one of the kids fails. Until whatever they're basing their entire happiness on fails them, they're happy. So if somebody is happy because he has so much money, the minute he loses money, he wants to kill himself. He has no purpose to live anymore. If his whole life was based on money, all day he's doing, the only tefillah he's doing is for Parashá. For Shlom Bayit doesn't care, for connection to Hashem doesn't care, Gemara doesn't care, Tosfot doesn't, nothing, he doesn't care. All he wants is Parashá, Parashá, Parashá. As soon as the Parashá is gone, as soon as there's a depression, financial situation is horrendous for everyone, or just for him, it doesn't matter. Someone steals from him, his whole world collapses. He officially loses the purpose of his life. He wants to kill himself. Or someone, this usually happens with young people, their whole life is based on their spouse or their boyfriend or girlfriend. Oh, he's my life. Oh, she's my life. Okay, well, as soon as she tells you, listen, you're not my life, I have somebody else that's my life, you want to kill yourself. You have nothing now. Or someone that depends on their kids. Oh, my kids are my life, they're everything, they're this, they're that. Okay, the kids one day they grow up. They leave the house, they get married.
Absolutely.
They leave home. We're not talking about bad things. We're talking about them moving on with their life. Okay, you live in America. Him and his wife want to live in Canada. He wants to live in Canada. Well, you can tell him no. He has his own life. He has his own kids. He's got to move. Oh, what am I going to do with my life anymore? My kids are not home anymore. What do you mean? Why is your whole life depending on your kids? Hashem didn't bring you to the world just to have kids. He brought you to the world to have your own life also. Or chas v'shalom, if something happens to the kids. I know a woman that just recently lost a kid. Young boy died. He's 24 years old. Mom is complete atheist, believes in nothing, has fortune of money, and a meaningless life. Because right now she feels like she can't wait to die. Because her whole life was her kids and the material world. So as soon as something was taken, as soon as it was shaken up, there's nothing else to hold on to. There's nothing else to hold on to. So here we understand that En al mi lismoch ela al Avinu shebashamayim. We have nothing that we can rely on other than our Father in heaven. Meaning, if you want to have something to really rely on, you want to have something to really develop a relationship with, you want something that to really you could depend on at all times that's never going to go away, you must develop your relationship with Hashem. Your Creator is the only relationship that you know is going to exist forever. And the type of relationship it's going to be depends on your actions. If your relationship is based on Yirat Shamayim, you can only go up from there. You can only develop it to be a good relationship. If your relationship is based on some other nonsense that somebody told you that has no sources, then it's a superficial relationship and you believe in something else. You don't really believe in the God of Israel. But if you believe in the God of Israel, you can have a phenomenal relationship. And obviously, even that relationship is going to have its ups and downs. Sometimes you're more connected to Hashem. Sometimes you're less connected to Hashem. You have a test. You think He's not watching, even though He's watching. All of us have tests. And we're not tests. But it's always there. It's always there. When I'm crying, He's with me. When I'm happy, He's with me. When I wake up, He's with me. When I go to sleep, He's with me. When I'm reading, He's with me. When I'm confused, He's with me. When I'm crazy, He's with me. When I'm angry, every time. He's always with me. Even when He says He's not with me, I know He's with me. Because I know that when I'm angry and He says He can't be in the same room as someone that's angry, I know that He's watching. He's going to write it in the book. On this day, on that day, you were angry. It was considered idol worship. I'll have to pay the bill. Even then it's with me. He's with me. That's the Yirat Shamayim. If we have Yirat Shamayim, we can build eternity. No Yirat Shamayim, you close all the books, and it might as well be math books. So Be'ezrat Hashem, we learn from Avraham Avinu, we learn from the sages in Pirkei Avot, we learn from the elders, the prophets, the sages, that all of these things are very logical. Every single Mishnah is logical. Once you actually understand what it says, it's logical. But the only way to implement any of it is go start at the foundation and realize, hey, this Torah came from God at Mount Sinai. He gave it to Moses. God is real. He's watching. He's listening. He's writing. Everything counts. The mitzvah and the averah. Once you realize that Hashem is always there, that's the beginning of Yirat Shamayim. And you build from there with Hashem.
I've heard enough. New arrival screams, echoing through the hallway to know that this ain't good. Once they pass them through the infierno, they don't come back. It's enough to make you go crazy.
Do not think we fear you, Spirit. We know your power is born of evil. This is your last night in the land of the living. You understand me, malevolent demon?
There was a rich family that lived here called the Hetheringtons, and unfortunately, their daughter passed away of a heart attack inside the house. Basically, they were so devastated that they reached out to people claiming to be psychic mediums. They actually weren't psychic mediums. They opened up a total of 11 portals inside this house and invited spirits and entities from all different kinds of dimensions.
Well, I think there are certain pieces of evidence that there is an afterlife.
Resurrection of the dead is affirmed pretty clearly in the Talmud and the Midrash.
To be honest with you, to give this lecture is a nightmare. If it was up to me, I wouldn't. There's going to be some graphic details.
This place is a maze.
The person after death went to a place called Sheol.
This is by far the largest near-death experience study that has ever been conducted.
People go to a place and they experience weird things. And sometimes they actually will see a character of some type. Well, where did that come from?
I don't know why that one chain is swinging back there.
They may describe feeling profoundly peaceful, seeing a bright, warm, welcoming light. Some people describe watching doctors and nurses working on them with incredible accuracy.
Next thing I knew, I was above my body watching the operation.
How long did you feel like you were gone? I went to a place of timelessness. And so what that means, it could have been a second, could have been 5 minutes. I don't know.
Can you imagine waking up from your sleep and not being able to move?
As I'm lying there, I realized that there's an evil presence next to me.
Do you believe that angels, demons exist?
Holy dude, get out of here! Oh my god, dude!
Strange things keep happening, bizarre nightmares, as if I'm on fire.
Whoa, what the hell is this? Man, I've got bad chest pain.
Satan's Hollow is what it's called, the portal to hell.
Some people calling it an eye of fire, while others said it looked like the portal to hell opening up.
And the next thing I know, I was outside of my body, looking at my body.
What I'm going to do is called claromancy, the art of throwing lots or throwing bones.
2,000 years of experience, passed down, recorded, of how demons work.
God has them all on a leash, and he lets the leash go enough to let them tempt us, because that's what makes us spiritually stronger.
I'm trying to be as graphic as possible so you understand what we're talking about.
It's your ticket to reality. It's your ticket to freedom. It's your ticket to immortality.
Is there an afterlife? Is there a
This
God?
is the type of information that can keep you away from the Yitzhak.
What happens to us after we die?